One of the most profound things I've learned in my life is that it's actually not about my hair at all. I've spent a lifetime trying to cover up who I am. And as much as I love a good external transformation, and I do, I much more love a heart transformation. Join me as I share how I work to heal my heart, find happiness, and embrace our hair. Welcome back to It's Not About Your Hair, where we talk all things hair, heart, and happiness. Hey, I'm glad you're here. Today, I'm getting ready to head out and teach a class at a local beauty school. And I was thinking about what's the most important thing I can teach to these beauty school students. And guess what? It's the most important thing that I can teach to you guys and to myself. So the topic that I'm going to go into is growing your confidence so you can grow in your courage. And what is the difference between confidence and courage? And so I thought we would go over those things in lieu of what we talked about last week, believing that there's something inside of us that is already built for us, and we can only grow that courage muscle if we believe that about ourselves. And so if you didn't tune in last week, you should, but either way, we're moving forward. Confidence and courage. So confidence is knowing something and then growing the skill set in a particular area. So for me, I teach curly hair, and I can give people tools to make them more confident. You can come to a single class or watch a single video on my social media, and you can learn something to expedite your skill set, okay? That gives you confidence. When you are better at something, you're confident. So right now, if there's something you'd like to have more confidence in, literally, you can learn anything you want on YouTube, or I don't like to fumble through YouTube looking for stuff. So you can pay someone who's already doing it to take an online class, or you can go to a class, but that's how we get confident. We grow or we continue to practice something. Okay. Courage is when you put that thing into action. Now, I know in my arena, my specialty, lots of people go to curly classes and never do it on a client. Why? Because they don't have courage, because it's scary, because they don't trust themselves. And there's a million things you can do in the middle of that to get there. But what happens, and what's happened to me, is that we just continue to acquire more knowledge, but we never put it into action. So this can cross into multiple areas of your life, you guys. It's not just about curly hair. It's about anything. But what I noticed that happens, and I've talked about this on a million of the 13 episodes, is that there's a moment between confidence and courage that a little sneaky thing happens. Blame comes in instead of bravery. So we blame the class because we didn't get everything we wanted out of it. We blame our job because our job isn't allowing us to do the thing that we want to do. We blame our circumstances, and we just don't take it and go with it. So I want to give a few more examples. I know I use the word so a lot. I'm working on that. I apologize. I would like to give a few examples. In my current life, my dream is to become a curly hair educator. I'm already living that dream. I am doing it. I would like to be able to do it in a way that I have a little bit more balance and organization. I really struggle to be an organized person, and I know exactly what I want things to look like, but I don't have a graphic design degree, and I don't know how to make a presentation. I don't know how to make an email list. So I'm currently looking for a personal assistant, if you're watching this, who can help me with all of these things. And so a lot of times I've been having this dream for years, but I played small because I didn't have the confidence to just put it out there and have it not be perfect. And part of that came out of I didn't also have the confidence in my skills. So if my confidence would have been great enough, I would have had the courage to do it and been okay that I didn't know how to do all the things. Because I know people who have really great presentation. They can make a really great slideshow, but they're not a great presenter. But they do it anyways, and someone learns something from their class. Or I know people who aren't great presenters at all, and they're still making a living doing it. And what happens then is that we end up looking at other people and either making fun of them or thinking, well, I'm better than them, or they're better than me, or we do this whole comparison game. And then it stops us again from just showing up. Recently, I took a whole year off and I took this class, and I've talked about it before, wealthiest year ever. And I didn't even really follow the whole curriculum, but it inspired me. That's the point, is I had something that I could reflect on and be inspired by. And the wealthiest year ever was about what is wealth? What is wealth to me? Discovering for me what is, and basically it was a balance, how to create balance in your life out of what you want out of your life. So for me, I took a whole step back for a whole year. I went to 3 days a week behind my chair. That took courage to step into the life that I believe existed outside of the life I was living. I don't know anyone personally in my sphere, and this is where things get really hard for people, is when you don't have a mentor or someone that you're looking at that's doing the exact thing that you're doing. What I believe I want to do with my life, I don't know anyone who's doing it with theirs, and so I can easily want to play smaller. And this doesn't mean that you have to do what I'm doing. Playing big can just mean living into the fullness of the life that you believe in your heart is for you. So for me, I want to travel and teach curly hair. I want to see so many parts of the world and meet all different kinds of people with all different types of hair texture. And I don't want to just teach curly hair, you guys. I want to teach the love of Jesus through transformation and curly hair. I believe that that's what's possible. And I want to see things I've never seen before. I want to meet people I've never met before. And I want to do this all while my family is able to go with me on some of these adventures. And I'm able to grow in my ability to love others and be adaptable. And so let's go back a little bit. In order to have this dream that's been in my heart for as long as I can remember, I used to be afraid to fly. And so I took flying lessons, I don't know, 10 or 11 years ago, because I knew that God had given me this vision. But I was so afraid to get on a flight that I had to be so heavily medicated. And then I was still in that job. And so I always had to travel with someone else. So how am I ever going to go teach a class if I can't get on a plane? So this is what I mean. I didn't have the confidence, so I had to muster up the courage. I had to learn it. So I took this flying lesson in this small plane. That did not help me, by the way, but I did it, and I faced that fear because I know that when I'm not doing something because I'm afraid, I'm playing smaller than what I meant to do. So if you're stuck in fear, but you know that there's something on the other side of that, that's where courage has to step in. So I took flying lessons because I knew that there was going to be a day where being on a plane regularly was part of my life. And I've struggled with that. I also knew that I wanted to meet new people in the curly hair world, and I didn't know how to do that. And so I applied for a job with InnerSense 3 years ago, I think, and I had never applied for a job in my life, you guys. I've been my own boss since I was 19 years old. So I haven't applied for a job since I was a wild 18-year-old. And so when I applied for this job, I didn't even tell anybody because I was so nervous about it. I had never filled out a resume. I asked my Aunt Jackie the last minute to help me do a resume, and I sent it in without overthinking it. And I didn't tell anybody because I didn't believe it would go anywhere. And then I got invited to come to Dallas. So to do the next step of the interview process to become an educator with InnerSense. And this would be 11 years after I took my flying lesson, you guys. And I had flown multiple times in between there and done lots of different types of teaching. I've been an I've owned a training salon for multiple years. And so I've done lots of trainings, but nothing like this. Okay. And so I had to get on a flight by myself and go to Dallas. And that was scary. So I visualized that. I read a book on visualization and I had the courage to do what I don't know anyone has done. So when they teach NFL players to not be nervous at the Super Bowl. They teach athletes this. They do visualization skills where they visualize what it's going to be like when they're on the field so they're not nervous when they're there. They visualize what's going to happen if they fumble the ball. They kind of put themselves in those situations so their bodily response will already have known it when it happens. So I practiced, as silly as it sounds, you guys, up and down my hallway upstairs with my luggage, walking confidently up and down the hallway, what I would feel like in the airport, because normally my nervousness starts before the drive even to the airport. So I practiced and visualized. We talked about manifestation last week. I believed that this was already in me, so I had already seen it. I visualized how confident I would feel walking through the airport. I visualized what it would feel like when the plane got a little bit bumpy and how I would respond to that. I visualized how it was going to go, and this gave me the confidence to do it. I got on that plane with no idea what I was to expect. I'd never taken an Uber by myself. I got off that plane, did the Uber. The point is, you guys, is I had already seen it in my mind. And I knew through manifestation or being silent enough, as we talked about last week, to hear the voice inside of me of what was for me, that there would be a place for me. I get to the thing in Austin, and you were given some sort of script and you had to do the script. I said it was like American Idol for hairdressers. You had to do the script in front of your peer group. So all the other stylists who were there wanting to be educators, and in front of the owner of Inner Sense and the members of the artistic director team. So it felt like a big deal. It felt like the coolest people in the room were at the back table, just like on American Idol with the judges, but the entire audience was your peer group, which seems a little bit more daunting. And here's where I have to talk about courage again and confidence, you guys. So we get the script, and I decided that night to hang around in the lobby and hang with other people who are maybe nervous about their script and wanted to practice. Because for me, being in the energy and the presence of people who are wanting to excel lights my soul on fire. And that was fun. And I met new people and that was engaging. And the next morning I had been practicing my index cards. And as I was practicing them, you guys, this is what's really, 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 really important. So catch what I'm laying down here. There was a particular type of script in anything, there is an expectation that you're going to deliver like this. And right before I was to do my presentation, I started feeling fearful. I was losing my courage and my confidence. And I was thinking about I had watched one particular educator for Inner Sense, her presentation over and over again. And she's really great, but she's very scientific. And I kept trying to make myself her. And I went back up into my room before my presentation and I turned on my favorite song, which is Raise a Hallelujah. You pick a song that elevates you. Maybe you need Eminem, Lose Yourself or something like that. And I danced and I shouted and I prayed, manifested, believed, was mindful that God had a plan for me for being there. And that the only way I wanted to show up in that room was as myself. And the more I was trying to make myself more like this other presenter, the more fearful I became because I was shrinking because I was trying to be somebody else. And I was losing my confidence because I started wondering, what if they don't pick me? What if I'm not as good as these other people? And I knew that that was a lie. So I went up to my room, I danced, I sang, and I put my note cards away. Because I decided that why I went all the way to Dallas was to bring my knowledge of this beautiful product line and of my knowledge of curly hair and me to the table. And that's not wrong. This is a really big thing, you guys. It's not right or wrong who you are. You might not be a good fit for another company or another person, whether that's a boyfriend or girlfriend. You might not be the right fit for them. But that doesn't mean you're not right. And that is what I decided in that moment. I didn't fly all the way to Dallas and get myself uncomfortable and stay in this hotel room by myself and meet all these new people to show up as somebody else. Because then if I got the job as somebody else, I'd have to show up insecure every time because I was trying to fit myself into a different peg. And so I decided through confidence in my ability of who I am, tapping back into that inner part of me, dancing it out, singing it out, believing that who I am is exactly who I'm meant to be, and that all of the steps I had accomplished to get there were all part of my journey, you guys. That's super duper important. And I didn't used to believe that. The old me would have thought if I didn't get that job, it's because I suck. I didn't do something right. Where now I believe they're just steps. So if I didn't get the job that day, if I wouldn't have gotten hired, I still would have, that journey, that process still would have been so important for my process because I had the courage to get on the plane. I overcame that. I met new people. I was willing to get myself in a room of people that are better than me. That's super important. Always activating the ability to be in a room of people that have more skills than you, being open to learning from other people. So anyways, got up, did my presentation as myself using my language and leaving out, although the things I love about the brand, I left out some of the things that the other educator talked about and words that are really important for the company, and used my simplicity. If you rake it, you break it. If you milk it, you silk it. If you scrunch it, you bunch it. If it's in the air, it's in the hair. These rhyming things that have been instrumental to my understanding of curls, raisins and grapes. I use all of these words all the time because God gave them to me to understand my own hair. When I was so insecure and hiding from my truest self, fear was my overriding factor. What if someone discovers, what if someone makes fun of my hair? What if someone realizes that I'm not that smart? I used to say that all the time. What if someone realizes that I don't know how to spell that word? What if someone, and it can still show up even into my confident adulthood, going to teach this class. What if I don't know how to make the presentation? What if I don't, here's the thing, because I'm so confident that this is for me, that I know that I know that I know that I'm meant for this day and this day is meant for me, that even if I lack in a certain skill set, I'm confident in who I am. And I also believe that I have something to bring to the table and that there's always something I can learn. So that makes me courageous. And so there's all of these opportunities all around us, you guys, to fight through what we don't know. It's a long pause because I'm debating on whether or not I should share it, but I'm going to wait because it hasn't been announced. So I'm not going to say it. But I will say right now, there's someone in my life who's making a big, 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 big change. And they have not always been open to that change. They've done a lot of lamenting, a lot of supplicating, a lot of blaming to why they're not happy. And that was all around fear. And they're deciding, because they finally have courage in themselves, that what they are and what they bring to the table is enough, that they're stepping out of something that is successful into something that's unknown, but what is known is who they are and what they can bring to the table. And so it makes the unknown less scary because they have courage that they're going to plug into that and it's going to work. So it's twofold. It's a deeper dive into what we learned last week. It is a believing in who you are. And you guys, so this week, move the dang needle. If you need confidence, take a class. Grow your knowledge. If you're miserable, figure out why. Why are you miserable? Stop blaming. Blame is an indicator that you got a you problem. I promise you it is. Fear is an emotional or a It's like a check engine light. Fear is a check engine light for your emotional system. If you are fearful, what kind of courage do you need? If you only had a heart, like the Cowardly Lion, if you only had a brain, what is it that you need to get you to the other side of that? Because I promise you, there's something to be unlocked. But it's deep, deep. You're not going to find it out there. Once you know what you are meant to do, you can look for the classes to get you there. The skills, the mentors, the people. You can listen to things, you can read things. But if you keep trying to be someone else, at best, you'll be an imitator. And there's so much more than that. You'll always feel like an imposter. So as a curly hair educator, I have to know that people are going to take the things I'm teaching and they're going to make it their own. Sometimes you can hear people use your words and I get really excited. Sometimes I'm like, hey, that's what I say. And that's ego for me. I have to let that go. Imitation is the highest form of flattery. If you are brave enough to share what you know, other people are going to take it as their own and they're going to grow it. All the things I've taught you today, I've read in a book. It's awesome. It's the beauty of life. Share what you know, grow as you go, be willing to flourish in the pursuits of what you want. And today I hope that perhaps we learned the difference today, my beautiful friends, between courage and confidence. I hope you know that you can walk out into the world as you, and it is okay. And once you have the courage to know that you are exactly who you're meant to be, when someone says something negative about you, you'll realize that they're just feeling negative about them and that that's okay. It might still hurt, but it doesn't have to stick. Ooh, I feel fired up. I feel like myself again. So I hope today you know you're loved. I hope you know that if you don't feel fine, you know that you are, in fact, going to be okay. That you are worthy of love. You are wonderful. That you are fearfully and wonderfully made. That there's a plan that's right for your life. And that I am here along the way to help you on the journey. I guess this is where I ask you to subscribe to my channel, to follow me on social, and to listen wherever podcasts can be found. And join me every Tuesday at 2 as we unpack how to heal your hair, your heart, and your happiness.